Psychologist is a simple yet strong character, making her a good beginner character while still being viable in higher tiers. Let's learn more about her. We'll start off with her external traits. Psychologist has 3 external traits: empathize, stress, and bonded. Psychologist has a whistle which she can use to take any damage from any survivor on the map. The whistle cannot be replaced with any items. To use the whistle, you simply drag it towards a survivor of your choice. If they accept, empathize will take effect and you will take their damage from them. Once you take their damage, there will be a 20-second cooldown. However, if your teammate does not accept the whistle's call, the cooldown will only be 5 seconds. You can also cancel the call with this button. After canceling the call, there will be a 5-second cooldown. Do note that you cannot call someone who is incapacitated. A rather interesting thing about Psychologist's empathize trait is that when she calls someone on 1/4 health, she ends up taking half damage instead of 1/4. However, when calling a survivor with 3/4 health, she will only take half their damage. Finally, Psychologist is unable to call anyone while running and she is unable to call anyone with tied on. With empathize in mind, let's talk about our first tip for this video. So now the question is, when should you call your teammate? There are a few situations where you can do so. The first is when they ping help me. You can also call your injured teammate if they ping hunter change target. Another situation would be calling the teammate who has to rescue. This is particularly useful if you're with the prime cipher and your injured teammate is closest to the chair. On an additional note, Psychologist's whistle works well when paired with Seer's owl or Gardener's shield. So if a Seer or Gardener is kiting, you can just call them when you deem appropriate and let them decide whether to make use of it. Now let's move on to the next trait. At the start of each match, there will be a green eggshell at Psychologist's health bar. This eggshell is her stress trait. Upon receiving damage, Psychologist will start healing immediately. The healing process will stop permanently only when the eggshell is gone. Taking a hit during the healing process will not stop the healing effect. Hence, Psychologist requires 3 hits to be down, making her a strong character. Of course, the eggshell has its own limits. First of all, it does not work against detention. The eggshell will also be stopped by time. It also does not work against breaking wheel if you already have 2 spikes. Except for when Psychologist is incapacitated. Another thing about the eggshell is that as long as it's still in her health bar, she is unable to be healed by others or take a drink from barmaid until it is gone. Now that we've looked at what the eggshell can't do, let's look at what the eggshell can do instead. This eggshell makes Psychologist an idiot-proof character. Did you just get terror-shocked while vaulting the window? No problem. Your buddy Eggshell is here to help you out. As long as the eggshell is still at your health bar, no matter how small it is, you will need another 2 hits to go down after rescue. In the event Psychologist is in the chair while she still has her eggshell, it's best to rescue her without tied. This allows her stress trait to take effect so that she requires another 2 hits to be downed. However, if you main Psychologist, you have to be prepared to be rescued with tied even if the eggshell is still in your health bar. As long as you can avoid any hits during the 20 seconds tied, your stress trait will kick in afterwards. Now for Psychologist's last trait, bonded. This is a shared trait between Psychologist and patient which allows them to dash towards each other when within range. The dash can be easily blocked by objects. And while it can be used for kiting, it would mean that there is one less person decoding. So avoid using this trait unless necessary. Always aim to finish at least one cipher first before going to support your teammate. On a different note, this trait is hard to make use of unless you're on VC with a duo. In solo queue, the chances of you using this trait is low. With that, we're done with all of Psychologist's external traits. Let's move on to her persona. Because Psychologist has no additional abilities that can support her kite, it's better to carry 3-9 on her. For the extra points, I personally carry Cold, Sticker, and Healing. This is because Psychologist's skill is to take the damage of others, so she is more likely to be healed than to heal others. Now let's talk about her playstyle in matches. As I mentioned previously, Psychologist has no additional abilities that could support her kite unless you have a duo who plays patient, then you could probably make use of her bonded trait. This makes Psychologist a very beginner-friendly character. Other than getting a good sense of when to use your whistle, which is something you gain through experience, there is nothing much to add to her. However, there are some hunters you should remain wary of if you're playing her. The first hunter is Joseph. The Eggshell can only heal up to half your health, so this is easily countered by Joseph's 1.5 hit damage. Since chip damages is the Eggshell's biggest counter, a half-presence gamekeeper would also counter Psychologist if he lands the hook. Bonbon and Sculptor are also possible counters, albeit softer ones. The last hunter to take note of is Undead. For Undead, when a survivor is down they bleed out fast. However, if you use the whistle while on half health and end up downed as a result, you don't bleed out as fast as usual. While I'm not sure if the devs will change this in the future, it does give Psychologist a chance to support against Undead even on half health. Finally, before I end this video, do comment #Kiter if you want to see more guides and videos from me in the future. Also feel free to comment anything I may have missed out during the Psychologist guide. This is N, signing out.